Mankind has been obsessed with Mars for a very long time. More than 100 years ago, people started asking if Mars is habitable. Mars is the planet that's most similar to the Earth in our solar system. However, there are many environmental factors on Mars that we have to consider before making the move. Mars is indeed a very cold planet, so cold that Elon Musk suggested nuking it. The temperature on Mars can get as low as negative 198 degrees Fahrenheit, and the reason for that is that Mars is very far from the Sun, leaving it deprived from the Sun's heat. Relative to all planets in our solar system, Mars may seem like a very good idea. It does not have any new poisonous gases that are not already on Earth. Therefore, weather is not an obstacle. However, gases on Mars are not in very good proportion. It's 96% CO2 and only 2% nitrogen. Mars has perchlorates, which are poisonous to the human body. If plants are placed in Mars' soil, those plants will absorb those perchlorates. However, according to NASA, Mars has all the right nutrients. Mars has plenty of CO2, which is good. Plants can be planted on Mars, but are they going to be killed? Unless protected, radiation will kill all plants and leave all settlers at a significantly higher risk of cancer infection. Mars' thin atmosphere and lack of magnetic field allows radiation from the sun. A day on Mars is almost as long as a day on Earth. It takes Mars 40 or more minutes than Earth to make a rotation around itself. Other planets like Jupiter can make a rotation around their axis in less than 10 hours. More than 4 billion years ago, Mars was believed to be warmer and was believed to have more water. Over time, as liquid water evaporated, more and more of it escaped into space, allowing less to fall back to the surface of the planet. We can't drink seawater, but can we drink Mars's water? Most of the water on Mars is found in the form of hydrated salts and frozen glaciers below the surface. This picture is a picture of terrain on Mars that indicates that there was a river-like flow of water on it in the past. Does the Mars have the terrain able to sustain rivers and oceans? Mars' low gravity and lack of diversity on its terrain has caused it to lose most of its water. Is the water too deep for us not to be able to excavate for it? We need to look further into our ability to make use of water on Mars. And does the water exist in places where humans can survive? Or is it too hot or radioactive? The water on Mars may have poisonous substances. We need to be able to see if it's H2O or H2O2. Similar to the soil on Mars, I suspect that there may have perchlorates too. Gravity. We age much faster on the Sun than on the Earth. We could not feel that we're aging faster, but if two twins are born, one on the Earth and the other on the Sun, one would be dead while the other may have not reached the age of 10 yet. Thankfully, that's not the case with Mars. For every 10 years on Earth, 10 years and 1.5 seconds have passed on Mars. The gravity on Mars is around a third of what it is on Earth. This is due to Mars' smaller size. While it's a bit smaller, the gravity on Mars is still large enough for us to be able to build on it and work and plant. Strong gravity pulls the roots of plants. Plants need long roots to be able to resist winds, storms, etc. The combination of low gravity and short roots makes the plants vulnerable to being uprooted. A measure has to be taken to prevent that. This is a picture of a demonstration prototype of what a house on Mars will look like. Buildings can be built on Mars. The gravity on Mars is around a third of what it is on Earth. This is due to Mars' smaller size. However, the gravity on Mars is still large enough for us to be able to build on Mars and work on it. Mars's lower gravity and long trips to it can cause muscular dystrophy to us humans. Mars's weaker gravity causes our bodies to think they do not need to be as strong. This causes our muscles to become smaller as our bodies adapt to the lower gravity. The surface of Mars poses a huge challenge. It's very rough. In fact, it has broken the wheels of the Curiosity rover. Human settlers and astronauts have to plan routes carefully and build machinery strong enough to endure Mars's rough surface. The biggest problem with Mars, however, is that it's not stable. Billions of years ago, Mars and Earth were equal. Now there are massive differences between them. Before investing in Mars, we should not only consider how it is now, but how it was and how it's going to be. Billions of years ago, Mars had an atmosphere that made it safer. However, a solar storm hit it and now it has a much thinner atmosphere. This has left it vulnerable to what space has to offer from radiation and heat. It has also made water in it evaporate and gases escape. Earth has a very strong magnetic field that's also able to divert many of the asteroids hitting it. Mars does not. Settlers on Mars are much more likely to have their lives disturbed by an asteroid hitting than on Earth.